Why was Hyman Roth the villain in The Godfather Part 2? Is it only because he puts a hit out on Michael? There has to be more than that. Frank Pantangeli warns Michael about him, saying, "Your father did business with Hyman Roth. He respected Hyman Roth, but he never trusted Hyman Roth." Michael's father certainly had a good reason to do business with the man. But who exactly is he? In a movie about mobsters, what makes Roth the bad guy? Set in 1950s Nevada, Michael is now the head of the family after the passing of his father, Don Vito Corleone, played by Marlon Brando. Michael is in the process of expanding his business into Cuba, upon the invitation of Lee Strasberg's character, Hyman Roth. But an old family friend warns him of Roth, despite Roth being the reason behind Don Vito's rise to power. In the movie, a young Vito Corleone is presented in early 20th century flashback scenes from when he was an orphan to decades later when he begins his legitimate business, the Genco Pura Olive Oil Company, together with friends Genco, Clemenza, and Tessio. Portrayed by Robert De Niro, Vito Corleone encounters Don Fanucci, a black-hand extortionist that has been exploiting people in his neighborhood. Fanucci decides to exploit Vito and his friends, but having lost everything once before, the typically quiet and pensive Vito is not about to let it happen again. Vito kills the black-hander. From here on out, the neighborhood turns to Vito in times of need. He becomes the new boss, a different kind, one who values friendship and deals in favors, one who is respected and loved. But this is not the origin story of Don Corleone. The Godfather, no. That story begins a little later, with the help of one Hyman Roth. It is 1920 and Prohibition has just come into effect. Vito loses his job on account of Fanucci, and with more mouths to feed, he takes to crime, as suggested by Clemenza. But Vito doesn't settle on petty crime. He turns his situation around by going into more lucrative ventures alongside Genco, Clemenza, and Tessio, taking advantage of the nationwide ban on liquor. At the same time, he establishes a legitimate front for their criminal enterprise, the Genco Pura Olive Oil Company. He immediately sees the need for capital investment, both in delivery trucks as well as in warehouses. Genco is now a well-oiled machine, working and defending its routes with military-like precision and force. Like all machines, it needs someone to keep the wheels turning. Clemenza chances upon a solution in a deleted scene from the movie. Clemenza sees a scrawny youth being beaten by some Italians on the street in the old neighborhood. The young man is getting pummeled, but doesn't back down, which makes Clemenza take an immediate liking to him. The young man's name is Hyman Suchowski, a mechanic. When Clemenza takes Hyman to meet Vito to work as their grease monkey, Vito convinces the young man to change his name. Although Clemenza has already started calling him Johnny Lips, Vito wants Hyman to choose his own name. He asks the new kid whom he admires. Suchowski answers Arnold Rothstein, because he rigged the 1919 World Series. From then on, Hyman Suchowski, the skinny Jewish mechanic, becomes Hyman Rothstein. As the story goes in Puzo's novel, Vito's company catches the attention of a gang of Italian bootleggers, looking to run contraband from Quebec to New York City. With Clemenza as their contact, they come to Vito behaving like big-time gangsters, thinking he's a pushover. They offer Vito a staggering fee, not only for the use of his company's logistics, but with a guarantee of reliability, discretion, and most of all, successful deliveries at all costs. Being a cunning businessman, Vito sees no reason to turn down their offer, even though they pair with a veiled threat, a move which makes Vito think less of them for using one when none was necessary. The immense profit from this arrangement makes Vito scale down his oil business and divert most of their resources towards bootlegging. Prohibition was a curious time. The demand for liquor was overwhelming, and so were the profits. Until Prohibition, never before did street gangs start behaving like businessmen, hiring lawyers and accountants, planning logistics and security, and pouring capital investment into warehouses and vehicles. Until then, never before had there been a cooperation among criminal ethnic groups to further their profits either. They started getting organized. Prohibition gave birth to all that. Prohibition gave birth to organized crime. Vito benefits significantly from his ties to Hyman Roth. He becomes a dominant force in smuggling, ultimately getting his family and his people through the economic depression that was to follow in the 1930s, thus cementing his role as their boss, the Don. As the Godfather, Don Corleone. His fortune was built in company with Hyman and his trusted associate, another young Jewish man by the name of Moe Greene. With Hyman's own network of bootleggers, these ruthless mobsters make their fortune during Prohibition. In present-day Cuba, Hyman Roth is with Michael Corleone. Hyman's focus is on gambling, casinos, and he plans to do to Havana what Moe Greene did to Las Vegas. He wants Michael's participation, but not for the same reason as he had Michael's father, Vito. No, Hyman Roth has a score to settle. In the movie, Roth tells his story to Michael. He says that when Michael was only a baby, he and Moe smuggled molasses, an ingredient to make rum, from Havana into Canada. He points out that the trucks they used belonged to Michael's father, and that is how they made all their fortunes. This is who he is. You see, Hyman Roth is not just any low-profile businessman. Hyman Roth is an investment mogul, a titan. He is a kingmaker, responsible for boosting the fortunes of nearly everyone in the criminal underworld, and because of his Midas touch, he has their backing, their muscle, making him practically invincible. It's what gives Robert Duvall's character, Tom Hagen, some concern when Michael gives the order to have Roth killed. But Michael calmly tells Tom, if anything in this life is certain, if history has taught us anything, it is that you can kill anyone. Why does Michael want Roth dead? Because Roth seeks retribution for Moe Greene's death. He has already turned Fredo against Michael. He also turned Pantangeli against him. He will consistently try to turn Michael's family against him, or worse, get them killed. Hyman Roth was, among other things, a ruthless mobster. His character was based on real-life Jewish mobster Meyer Lansky. In the movie, Hyman claims not to be angry with Michael for Moe's death. He claims he doesn't want retribution, but maybe he had to pretend because in reality, Meyer Lansky agreed to his business partner's murder. You see, Moe Greene was based on Bugsy Siegel, the man appointed by the mob to handle their Las Vegas venture. Although Moe was painted as a gambling genius with an attitude, Bugsy Siegel was allegedly stealing profits and mismanaging the mob's Flamingo Casino hotel. He had to go. This is conjecture, of course. But what no one can argue is that Michael would want Roth dead for another reason. He is the competition. Hyman Roth was a very important man. So was his real-life counterpart, Meyer Lansky. Lansky was known as the mob's accountant, one of the masters of organized crime, and the brains of the underworld. He had interest in casinos worldwide. He was also connected to the National Crime Syndicate, a coalition of several crime organizations from Italian, Jewish, Irish, and African American communities. He was a very influential man. If Hyman Roth's sphere of influence was anything like Lansky's, there's no question Roth is a threat to Michael. And in the mob, threats are eliminated. When all is said and done, Michael insinuates why he, like his father before him, can't trust Roth. He says to Hagen, "All our people are businessmen. Their loyalty is based on that." He wasn't referring to Roth as one of them. He was referring to Roth as a businessman whose loyalty came and went with money. You can't trust that, can you?